Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I can't even explain how excited I am for this video and this first impression. Today I am finally going to be trying out the BeautBean and Shroud collaboration, the It's Freakin Bats palette, probably the most hyped indie collab palette to launch yet, and I'm just so happy that it is finally in my hands. So recently I did a video and I kind of mentioned some older palettes that were still on my wish list, and I talked about how I wish that I had picked this up when it first launched and just how sad I was that I don't own it yet and how I was planning to buy it whenever it was available again. And one of my subscribers mentioned that she had this palette and did not like it, and she let me buy it off of her, and I am super grateful. So happy to give it a new home and just hoping that I love it. So here is what the palette looks like. Super beautiful. I mean, I just love this color story. The metallic shadows just look amazing. So excited. I'm so happy. So without any further ado, let's just jump right on in. Let's do some swatches. We're gonna do an eye look, and I'll just kind of give you my opinion on if this palette is worth the hype. So the first shade here is called Handbook, and it looks like a really beautiful kind of metallic, super bright lime green. The texture of the metallic feels a little bit thicker, but it looks pretty nice. And then we have Spooky, which looks like such a stunning, like, it's almost like a bright periwinkle shade, kind of right in between purple and blue, and it's not quite pastel. It's definitely a really pretty tone. And then we have Apparition, which is a light purple metallic with like a little bit of a gold sparkle running through it. Yeah, definitely slightly thicker metallics. That matte looks so good though. Okay, next we have the shade Atoms, which is such a pigmented, beautiful, like emeraldy, deep teal kind of shade. We've got Sam, which is another really pretty purple. This one is a little bit more of like a bluey purple, just so pretty. I have no idea what I want to do today. I know I kind of want to go all out and do like a super dramatic look, but every single shade in this palette looks stunning. So next we have the shade Trappa, and this looks like the perfect grungy yellowy green. It has a little bit more murkiness to it than like your regular chartreuse green, but it's kind of in that color family. Oh my goodness, I love that shade. Okay, next we have the shade Zero, which looks like a really beautiful kind of light metallic, like almost like a golden olivey kind of shade with like the most subtle amount of green, but that one is definitely the most like metallic smooth of the metallics that I've swatched so far. I definitely like that texture the best. And then we have Dairy, which looks like such a pigmented, beautiful, deep plummy purple. And then last but not least is Grim, which is another super thick metallic, but this one is like a nice kind of mid-tone blue. Oh my goodness, the pigment, the mattes just feel so good. Such a pretty palette. Oh my goodness. I feel like those just swatched heavenly. Okay, so I already went ahead and primed my eyes with the Juvia's Place eye primer, which was actually kind of a fail because it was sitting in my drawer and I forgot to shake it, and when I went to put it on my eye, it fell down on my cheek. I don't know if you can kind of see that spot there, and it just like dripped all the way down my face after my face had already been done. So I was kind of annoyed about that, but it's fine because I'm so happy to be playing with this palette. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start off with the shade Trappa, and I'm just gonna start that off in my crease, but I'm gonna keep it pretty high up. Like I said, I want this to be a little bit more dramatic. Just absolutely love this shade. And the good news is that if you were not able to get your hands on this palette, I believe that they just finished up the pre-orders and it's going to be available to purchase again very soon. So it's like perfect time for me to be doing a video on it, I guess. Just gonna kind of lightly blend that shade out. Okay, next I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the shade Atoms, and I'm gonna pop that directly into my crease, basically all the way through. Okay, once I kind of have that all placed down where I want it to be, I'm gonna go back into some more of Trappa on that tiny brush and just blend over the edge. Just kind of softening it out without bringing it up too high. All right, now I'm going into my original blending brush and just going over the entire crease just to make sure it's nice and soft. Blend it out pretty nice. So now, because I don't want to do anything super monochromatic, I kind of want to get like a taste of the entire palette in this look. I'm going to go ahead and dip into the shade Dairy with that same like really small crease brush. And I'm going to start popping that on the outer V. Just kind of placing it down, and I'll lightly blend it inwards. Oh my goodness, the pigment is real. I feel like you have to be kind of careful with these mattes because they are so pigmented. I don't know that they're like the most beginner friendly formula that I've ever tried. So I think that's something to keep in mind, but I personally like it. I think it just takes a moment to get used to and to be like, oh yeah, less is more. I accidentally brought that in a little bit funny, but it doesn't really matter because I'm going to cover up the lid with my metallic shades anyways. I'm also going to take Dairy on a little smudgy brush and pop that along the lower lash line, just connecting. I think I'm going to take just a tiny little bit of the shade Spooky and really dust that off, and I'm going to use that to blend out the purple along the lower lash line just a little bit, kind of add just a little touch of softening effect kind of underneath. Now I'm taking the shade Handbook and I'm popping that on the middle of the lower lash line. I'm gonna build it up just a little bit to really get it to pop. And then I'm gonna take the shade Zero and I'm gonna use that on the front of the lower lash line. I think I kind of have a plan now to use every single shade in this palette at once, which is fun. Oh yeah, that looks even more like you can see the green come out a little bit more on the eyes. So pretty. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and take the shade Sam and I'm gonna pop that on my inner corner just as like a fun inner corner highlight. I think I'm gonna go into some of the NYX glitter glue just to make the lid extra intense. Just gonna throw that on real quick. I'm gonna start off with the shade Apparition. I feel like I'm saying that funny and I don't know why, but just picking up a little bit of that, and I'm gonna pop that on the front half of my lid. So pretty. And then I'm gonna dip into the shade Grim, the last shade in the palette that we have not used. I'm popping that on the outer half. Just kind of blending between the outer V and that purple. How pretty is that? Such a fun color story. Like, there's so much I want to do with this palette. A pop-up pastel purple in the waterline would be really pretty, so I'm going to use the LA Girl Pastel Dreams liner in the shade Lavender in my waterline. Gonna throw on the Thrive Cosmetics mascara, and then I'll be right back. To finish up the face real quick, I'm gonna go into the Becca Moonstone highlighter. I don't know why, I'm just feeling it. I don't want to do anything super intense. I just want to add a little bit of a glow, and I feel like something about this goes along. If only I could find my highlighter brush. Me every single day. All right, just gonna throw that on the tops of my cheekbones and my nose. And for lips, I'm gonna go into the Sigma Renew Lip Oil in the shade Tint. Alright, so this is the finished look, and I can't get over how much I love how this turned out. I just think that this is such a beautiful color story. I feel like if you love greens and purples, like this, I don't know, the shades just have my heart. I love all the tones that were chosen. I feel like this look was overall pretty easy, pretty quick to do, even though it is very dramatic. The mattes blended really well. Like I said, they are super pigmented, so definitely be careful going in with them. The metallics are a little bit thicker than what I normally go for, but I feel like they look so nice on the lid, especially with a glitter primer and on the lower lash and everything. They all look really good. I'm just super impressed. I'm feeling like this palette was worth the hype. Of course, this is just a first impression. I really can't wait to play with this more and do some monochromatic green and monochromatic purple looks with it, because I think that's going to be so fun. Like this row together and then adding that in the crease, and then just, I mean, you know what monochromatic means, but I'm just so excited to play with it more. I would love to know if you picked up this palette, what you're thinking about it, if you're planning to pick it up when it restocks, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!